What's up, everybody? My name is Grimace. You're watching The Bespoke Woodsman, and here are 5 mistakes I made when I first started backpacking. Mistake number 1, I just got too ambitious. I would plan these like 5, 7, 10-day backpacking trips. Well, I just got as far away from humanity as possible, lived really deep in the backcountry, out of my backpack, roughing it. These epic multi-day trips are great, but you should probably figure out, first of all, if you even like backpacking. Because day 5 of an epic 8-day trip is not the day to figure out you don't even like doing this. Take a couple of overnight trips, 2-night trips. Figure out if you even like it. Dial in your gear. Dial in your fitness. Dial in your food. Dial in your skill set. Dial in your trip planning. Dial all that in first so you don't set yourself up for failure on a longer trip. A 3-day adventure in the backcountry should be an amazing experience, so don't set yourself up for failure by being too ambitious. Second mistake I made when I first started backpacking was overpacking my clothes. Everyone says, oh, I carried too much weight, and I did, but specifically clothing I feel like it's really easy to overpack. So I would bring like a change of underpants even for every day. I would bring a different shirt for every day. You don't need all of that. You can wear one shirt, maybe 2 shirts on a longer trip where you swap them in and out. I brought way too many socks. I brought camp shoes, which I'm not saying don't bring camp shoes. I'm just saying I didn't need to bring camp shoes. It's not like the bears are going to complement your smell. Everyone stinks a little bit. Lean into it, A. B, you won't even notice. Like your best friend who doesn't change their clothes at all on the entire trip, you're never gonna be like, man, Jim really smells bad. Most outdoor clothing doesn't retain smell that well anyway. On the car ride home, you'll have a different shirt in the car to switch into so that you don't stink in the car. But out on the trail, you just don't need to change clothes that often. The most important thing is check the weather, check the temperatures, know what you're going to need and take that, but don't take too much. It's better to take too much than not enough, but it's best to take exactly the right amount. Research what you need to take, the weather conditions you'll be facing, and prepare for that, but don't just feel like you have to take 6 different pairs of clothes or 3 or 4 different sets of clothes. It's just overkill. The third mistake I made when I first started backpacking was wearing the wrong footwear. I would wear really tall boots because I have bad ankles, and I would wear these boots to protect them. That's not what I'm talking about though. You can wear boots or trail runners or approach shoes. That's a personal decision you'll make. We'll talk about that in a subsequent video, but that's not what I mean. If you're like me, the first thing I did is I went to an outdoor store and I looked at all of their boots and all of their shoes, and I just got so overwhelmed. So I was like, well, this is a good brand. I think I've heard of this brand, and this is one of the cheapest shoes. I don't want to get the cheapest shoe in this brand, but I got the second cheapest or whatever. The fact that you're watching this video is a good sign. You're probably doing more research than I did, but still don't shortchange this particular thing. It sounds obvious, but when you're backpacking, your shoes are really important. You're going to be on them. All of this weight is being carried on them. You're going to be hiking. You're going to be camping. You're going to be in them all day long. The other thing is fit. So I wear a size 10. Sometimes in some of my dress shoes, I wear a 9.5. But in my hiking shoe, I wear an 11. The reason for that is because I've got one of my toes is much longer than the other toes, and it bangs into the front of the shoe, especially on a downhill. So I've always known that, but I didn't really ever think to apply it to my shoe fit. And I certainly wouldn't have bought an 11 had I not been able to go to REI, and they have those like fake boulders and you put on the shoes and you can like literally walk downhill, and I could feel, and I would try a 10 and then a 10.5 and then an 11 and be like, oh man, I guess this is what I need in a hiking shoe. And I haven't regretted it a day since then. Maybe you have hot spots on the top of your feet. Maybe a shoe's gonna pinch you. Maybe a heel's too tight. Maybe a toe's too narrow. The toe box is too narrow. So just like go to the store, take your time, and really talk to associates and do some research. A shoe is such a particular choice for you that shopping online or anything like that is just, I feel like, just a really bad idea. The number 4 mistake I made when I first started backpacking was not properly researching my trips. One of my first trips, I got to the trailhead and there was a sign that said you need a backcountry permit to camp here. Thankfully, there was a sign. And I spent 45 minutes to an hour driving to one ranger station that happened to be closed and then driving to another ranger station where they told me that I couldn't get it that late. They were already sold out, or not sold, they'd already given out their quota. So I ended up going back and parking and going out illegally, which I shouldn't have done. You can avoid all of that just by planning ahead. Find out the regulations. Do you need a pass? Here in Southern California, for instance, we often need an adventure pass. You can buy it by the day or buy it by the year. It allows you to park at most trailheads, for instance. You can also use an interagency pass, like an America the Beautiful pass. That's here. I don't know about where you live. So just make sure you research that side so you don't run into any surprises. Can you build a fire? Can you use a backpacking stove? Here in Southern California, again, you need a campfire permit. Just make sure you know what you're getting into, any rules, any regulations, where can you camp, is dispersed camping allowed? Those sorts of things are all pretty available. You just have to look for them. And the other thing to research is the 7 principles of leave no trace. And if you think you know what it means, give yourself a refresher every year, every couple of years. Go back through, because you might be surprised at what you think you know, but you don't. The 5th mistake I made when I first started backpacking is waiting for the perfect gear. What I mean by that is I thought I had to go to, in my case, REI, and find the absolute right tent and the absolute right backpack and the absolute right shoes, and everything had to be perfect, or I'd be wasting my time. And that's not the case. First of all, don't drop a whole bunch of money on brand new equipment when you don't even know if you like backpacking yet. Get out and do it and figure out what you need by using what you can get, right? You can borrow or rent most of your gear. There are a lot of specialty stores, there are online places where you can get used gear or borrow used gear, or find last year's gear at a cheaper price, right? REI has their outlet. They also have their garage sale, which is a great resource. Backpacking can be a very expensive hobby, but it doesn't have to be. I haven't paid full price on almost any of my gear, and I really like gear. So I watch for deals, I do my research, and I figure out what I want, and I watch for deals, which you can do. You can rent stuff, you can borrow stuff. Hit up REI's garage sale. That's a really good place to find some great deals on outdoor gear. You figure out what you want. Watch the manufacturer's website. Watch the discount online places, because people return things, or manufacturers get rid of old stock to make room for the new stock. So those are all sorts of things that you can do to save money. The other thing is, why make a big investment when you don't know that you like it? So if you go out and you take the tent you can take, right? Maybe it's a 6-pound tent. Maybe you'll learn, like, I want a bigger vestibule on my tent, or I want 2 doors on my tent, or I want this, or I want that. I want to try a hammock. Those are all sorts of things you figure out by being in a tent. So go out with the tent you can get. The best tent you can get, but the tent you can get. Start slow, upgrade slow, figure it out as you go. Don't try too many things all at once. Don't go out on a new trip with gear you've never tested. Test all of your gear, try it all out. But, don't feel like you have to have the perfect setup before you can set a foot outdoors, because it's not true. In fact, it can be really counterproductive. So there you have it, the 5 biggest mistakes I made when I first started backpacking. Again, my name is Grimace. You're watching The Bespoke Woodsman. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, please give it a thumbs down. I talk a lot about backpacking, hiking, backpacking gear. If you like that kind of thing, click subscribe, click the notification bell so that you're told when I put up a new video. In the comments, tell me your biggest mistake you made when you first started backpacking. Or if you haven't started yet, tell me something that concerns you. Tell me a fear of yours. I don't know how to do this. I'm a little nervous about bears, for instance. Like those sorts of things. Tell me what's going on. Maybe we can all help out. Either way, thank you again so much for watching. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And we say we do this again sometime.